to this case, but we'll get to that later. Thank you.
Mr. Francisco, can I ask you a question about the relevant speech here? So it strikes me that this is a little different than your Bezos example, because there it's clearly content discrimination because we're talking about the ability to post particular articles versus other articles. Am I right that the algorithm is the speech here?
Yes, Your Honor. I would say it's, the algorithm is a lot of things. The algorithm has built within it, it's basically how we predict what our customers want to see.
The editorial discretion.
Yeah, the editorial discretion. It also has built within it the moderation elements. All of this kind of comes together when the source code is translated into executable code in the United States. In the United States, that executable code is then subject to vetting, review, moderation through content moderation algorithms, and so it ultimately lands on the TikTok platform.
But what we're talking about as a net choice is the editorial discretion that underlies the algorithm. And I just want to be clear, a lot of your examples talk about, including the Bezos one, the right of an American citizen to repeat what a foreign entity says, or say, I'm hitching my wagon to China, I want to say everything China does. Here, the concern is about the covert content manipulation piece of the algorithm. That is something that ByteDance wants to speak, right?
Well, Your Honor, I think that ultimately it's TikTok's choice whether to put it on the platform.
And you don't want that? Is your client disclaiming
we absolutely resist any kind of content manipulation by China at all. But what I do want to focus in on is what their asserted interests here. They do talk about covertness, but it can't possibly be that all they're concerned about is mere covertness. If all you were concerned about was the covertness untethered from the underlying content, that's something that could be easily addressed through a risk disclosure.
But that goes to scrutiny, the level of the application. Let's say that I agree with you the First Amendment is implicated, and I'm trying to figure out what level of scrutiny applies, and I'm trying to figure out what content, if any, discrimination is going on here. There's a disproportionate burden. Let's say that I agree with you about that. No one is preventing you. You're seeking access to a particular source code, engineering, the recommendation feature. It's the technology that you want. You're not trying to repeat, as in the Bezos example, if we take the speech that the government's concerned about to be the covert content manipulation rationale, you're not seeking to utter that speech.
That's correct, Your Honor. What we are seeking to do is use an algorithm that displays the combination of content that we prefer our users to see on the platform.
And the government doesn't care about that. The government is fine with you doing that. You can invent it yourself. It doesn't even care what content that displays, cat videos or whatever.
Yeah, but I think that the way that the analysis has to unfold is first you ask, is this law burdening our speech? I think we agree that the law is burdening our speech. Then you have to look at whether the law itself is somehow content-based, not just what their motivations are, but whether the law is content-based. And here, the trigger for this law, the one thing that gets it going, is if you operate a social media platform that has user-generated content, unless that content takes the form of a product, travel, or business review. Then within that universe of content, it says there's one speaker we're particularly concerned about, and we're going to hammer home on that one speaker. And then just to make the rubble bounce, they come in and tell us that one of the reasons they're targeting that speaker is because they're worried about the future content on that platform, that it could in the future somehow be critical of the United States or undermine democracy, to pull examples from the government's brief. So I think there's no way to get around the fact that this is a content-based speech restriction, and you do have to go directly to what their interests are. Now, their principal interest is...
Could I